Turn the volume down a little bit on the music, but I kind of want that playing in the background throughout my, whatever you want to call them, blogs, virtual diaries, podcast, even though I'm not casting. Um, Basically, to start here, what I would like to do is just what most people would do daily. They want to check their news, right? Well, I think one of the major problems we have in this world is that we have so many sheep that are addicted to news that we are told through the various media, TV, internet, apps, radio. It's all bought and paid for. There's always an agenda. Usually it's bad. And in a situation like this that we're in with this pandemic, non-pandemic, I don't really know what you want to call it. I think it's just the colder flu got a new name and some attention to try to finally beat it. And I think we're almost there. But anyway, that's for another day. Or maybe later today, who knows. But basically, everyone needs to search news every day. We're addicted. We need to find out what's going on. Well, we need to stop doing it through the TV and stop doing it how we do it, what we're used to doing. Because what we need to begin doing is learning how to decipher, or just take what they say and then go research that news story on your own so you don't hear their spin. I mean, it's disgusting. They just blatantly lie now, and that is how they operate. Cover up, lie, cover up, lie. It's really gross, but it's what they do. So it is our job now to understand that that is the situation and that we need to learn to decipher it. We need to learn to research topics. And in my opinion, it's not about what news you follow. It's about following individuals. Follow individual news outlets that you like, that you think are good. Follow individual people that you like in politics or that are famous, that share the same vision that you share. Hopefully it's pro-American as it should be, but it's not about hearing it from a TV station. It's about finding it on your own from various things. And you can easily, as you get into the habit daily of following the right people and learning a cadence, you'll learn exactly how to adapt away from the spoon-fed fake news that we're told to believe, and that A, we don't even question, and B, everybody needs to start questioning. But this is a way to learn to get your own news. And throughout doing that, while you decipher who to trust, who not to trust, what's fake, what's real, you'll also be adding to the people that you follow, the people that you watch. Telegram right now, after everything that's going on with Twitter and Facebook and all the censoring and whatnot, it's pretty sad what they do, because I've been deleted off various Twitters several times. Facebook's been censored, and I've been warned and whatnot. So, but Telegram is a legit deal so far, and it saves a lot of information too in a nice, clean way that you can search. So if you don't have any good social media that you trust, I suggest starting with Telegram and learning who to follow, and I think you can easily figure that out. And then once you start following these people, then they share stuff from other people, and then you follow those people. And it's just a nice little transitional stepping stone to getting away from the old fake news that is agendized and getting toward deciphering your own daily info and using your brain, because nobody uses their brain anymore. But we're going to get back to that. So let's just start out here by going to a news outlet. I don't know really what I should pick. I hate Fox News now. They can S a D. They're just as bad as CNN, if not worse, on purpose. But let's go ahead and let's go to Fox News. Fox News. All right, let's see what's going on today in the Fox Fake News channel. Sex addiction, parlor massacre. Oh, this is that shooter. So here, when things go down with shootings and whatnot, that the left-winged news is going to instantly try to talk up grabbing guns and taking away gun rights. This is one of their main objectives for the left. And we can get into what I think the left is on another day, but anytime there's a gun situation, it's always one of their goals to do their best to spin and brainwash guns so that they can take them. As soon as they take them, we're screwed. We're defenseless. This is a tale is literally as old as time, civilizationally speaking, and that's what they want. They take the guns of the people, then they own the people. A gun-free zone is not going to stop a criminal from bringing in a gun and or using it. So, but this is what they do, because this is if this is in the news now with the shooting, this dude going to these places and killing people, obviously that's horrible. But next they're going to double use it as a chance to, all right, let's go for the guns again. Standard every time. Standard process, standard operating procedure of the left. You scroll through here, you see you got Cuomo. We know he's been on the hot seat. Pelosi, she's right there with Biden. They will be soon on the hot seat. They've kind of already been this whole time, but this guy right here is probably going to be the first to bite the dust of those 5 governors that stuffed the people into the nursing homes. I mean, they did that knowingly and knowing it was going to kill all those tens of thousands of people, and it sure did. So there's 5 of those governors, at least that I know of. And I don't research all the details all the time because there's so many different topics, and that's another thing people need to understand is there's so many topics. There's just so much information daily of real information, not this nonsense agendized news. Even though, yeah, some of it's legit, but you got to see through it. You got to be able to read those, proverbial internet tea leaves, because most people don't recognize fake news from real news, and then it all just blends together, and then they just stop caring because it's too much effort to try. But basically, Cuomo here, search him on the side. Go to research and hit news. I don't want to say the search engine to use because I hate them all, but go use a search engine. Type in Governor Cuomo. I think they're up to 7 people. He needs to resign. He's been a fraud from the get-go. Power hungry, abuse of power. This guy's a communist, straight up. It's all about communism right now. We have communism versus freedom. And it appears communism's winning, but it isn't. So let's keep scrolling through here. I don't want to get on a lot of tangents, but my whole podcast situation here is going to be about tangents because one thing leads to another, triggers another thought about another thing, and then the goal is to connect the dots at the end. And once you connect the dots, you'll be able to see so much clearer than you ever thought was possible, and we're still not there yet because there's still all this nonsense saturation of the fake news that just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Until they're stopped, it will not stop. So it's our job to figure out what's real, what's not, by researching topics on our own, not just reading these articles and believing it, but take these articles, get the topics and the subjects, and go research those separately. This is new right here. I didn't know anything about this. This is Deshaun Watson of Houston, quarterback, and I didn't even know he had 2 other lawsuits. So, but that shows you the NFL. I mean, the NFL is, yeah, here's another tangent onto the NFL, but the NFL is so corrupt from top to bottom. It's almost like the pandemic has allowed time for sports in general to be audited, I feel like, over the last couple of years to see how the money's coming in and where the money's going because, they're part of the hyperinflation that takes place. Sports help hyperinflate our dollar, which, as anybody knows, shrinks the value of the dollar, which is why our big transition's coming soon. But that's for another day. Continuing here, this guy right here. He is, if he's good or bad, we don't know. But right now, he's sure proven like he's a good guy, and that's very exciting because he's saying all the right things. Ron DeSantis, Florida. Dude wants to be president one day, and tell you what, if he keeps defending freedom like he is and defending Trump, he could very well be president or VP one day, and that's not too far off. But Trump's going to be president again first, and he might be president twice. So I don't know if people want to discuss that, but there's a chance Trump might be able to be president for a third term just because of all the obstruction he's had to deal with, especially in his second term. After all the obstruction he had in the first term, he had all of this obstruction now that has literally stolen his second term away from him because of voter fraud. And yes, voter fraud does exist, and it is going to come out at some point. So, but continuing on, this girl right here, she's killing it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's someone I'd recommend following, just like DeSantis, just like Rand Paul. And I know I'm throwing names out there for people, but there's so much information. Just know that going in once you start learning. But things I suggest: try your best to learn names of politicians and senators and whoever, all these people, because they will. Once you can understand the cast, if you will, then it'll certainly help connect the dots later. Once you learn them, you remember them. So remember people like this to follow. Learn names of everybody. You got Fauci here. You got Rand Paul there. DeSantis right there. Deshaun Watson. I know that's sports, but I know a lot of useless knowledge. But we can go through here all day. But basically, pick a news source. Here, because people think I'm so far right, even though I'm not at all. But I am right, but I'm not far right. There's a huge difference in that. But here, so CNN. This is CNN's page. Right now, I'm so far deep into this, I can just tell so much BS is on this page right now. And it's crazy because I don't watch any of the fake news. I don't watch Fox TV. I don't watch CNN. But I will tune into CNN, every so often for a few minutes, see how they're talking about things, which is another way to help decipher exactly what you need to look for in the news. Is how are they pushing it? What are they repeating over and over and over and over and over? Because, the easiest form of brainwash is repetition. And it might even be the strongest for all we know. But there's definitely other methods to brainwash. But we've got to fight through that nonsense. So many people don't use their own brain. They hear exactly what CNN said, and they remember it because CNN's probably playing on in the background, or they remember it because they're just watching it anyway. But they'll remember how they said it, and then they just regurgitate that exponentially to everyone they know. And it's the worst game of news telephone that there's ever been. And it's only getting worse until something happens. Now, we're in the midst of things changing across the board in life, not just our country, but the world. Everyday things, little things, big things, methods, it's all changing. And it's all about to change for the better, for the greater. God's in control. God wins in the end. God's winning now. Patriots are winning now. We're trying to free the world. They are trying to free the world of communism, slavery, human trafficking, to get every country to be free and sovereign. That's the most important thing. Sovereignty. Nations deserve their own sovereignty, period. The United Nations can kiss my backside because they are a main source of the problem. They're not the problem. They're a huge name. They're a face of the problem. They're a mirage of goodness because they're not good at all. But so yeah, learning to decipher the news, super, super important. No matter what news you go to, you can easily tell what kind of BS they're pushing. So let's look at right here. Let's finally read. America could be on the cusp of another surge. Surge of what? COVID infections? BS. Science and numbers have sliced right through this whole COVID thing. There's a reason why the overall deaths in the country were actually lower than the previous year and why cold and flu numbers plummeted, because they just renamed it. That's the truth. This thing is a cold or flu. It just depends on your feelings toward how vicious or violent it is. Are you sensitive when you get a cold or flu, like more than most people? Can you handle it? Are you tough? Do you try to tough it out? Yeah, there's better things we can do, like washing our hands and being cleaner. Don't go out when your nose is pouring snot. Who does that? I know that's kind of how we used to be, but that kind of stuff can change. But the whole mask thing, oh my God. The whole mask thing is beyond a joke. So let's not worry about that right this second, because I could go on all day. But back to news. CNN, Fox, whatever. I don't watch them, but I do chime in to hear how they're talking about things. So